Best part of waking up. So, hey guys, it's your host, Pink Jimmy. I'm going to try and keep the camera in one frame of reference for a change. Just so I'm not so annoying, because I really don't know how to edit video, nor do I care to learn, because I'm a Luddite. See, look, this is what a Luddite looks like. Anyways, recently I picked up this Marshall Lead 12 reverb, blown up on eBay. Turns out that a reverb spring had broken inside the unit because it used to be mounted to the top of the circuit board, right about where this daughter board I got hooked up is laying. And when it did, the spring shot across and shorted out everything. I had to replace the power transformer. That's a proper Hammond unit for this. Unfortunately, with a regular Marshall Lead 12, the transformer clocks the other way. So this particular transformer is a perfect fit on this one. I had to drill a couple of holes to mount it. And of course it's kind of messy because I've been working on it. Homemade diode bridge because I was too lazy to wait one extra day for it to come in. Had to replace all the electrolytics, new power transistors, reverb circuit's been rebuilt. I had to replace all the chips in it. The 1458s were fried. All the diodes. I had no positive rail at all, either at the transformer or at the diode bridge. So once those were fixed, I got power back, but the 1458s were buggy and noisy, so I replaced them with some modern ones, which I don't like to do. But while I was looking at this sucker, I was like, if we look all down in here, right at the junction of C7 and C9 there, corresponds to right about where I've got that little / mark on there. It's right after the master volume, but before the cap that splits off to feed the reverb. And it's to the buffer stage that mixes after the reverb and the output of the preamp. And I got the power right there. So I was like, all I got to do is find the junction of what they've got marked on here as C7 and C9 up top up here. And that was easy. It was right there. I beeped it with my meter to make sure I had continuity. I cut the wire, and I took some wires and I stuck it over to this, which is my buddy Barry, who runs guitarpcb.com, makes these things called a paramix, which is a really, really, really groovy toy to play with in a lot of ways. Its design basically is so you can run parallel effect loops. It has a series effect loop built into it that you can defeat with switching jacks, which is awesome, which is basically what I did as well up here. They're kind of wrapped in tape so I don't electrocute anything important. And basically, so you got the series effects loop, but it also has a parallel effects loop that gives you not only the opportunity to independently control the volume level of the dry signal and the wet signal by giving you pots to play with, but it also gives you an overall volume boost should you need it, which sometimes you do, and even cooler, a phase switch. Now in this application inside an amp, I don't recommend clicking the damn phase switch when the amp is on, as I found out a few minutes ago, because it kind of makes it a little weird the way it's hooked up. It could be the way I've got things just kind of wired because it's Frankenstein together and shit. The first thing I did was, because I wasn't going to be doing any of the fancy switching, I took his advice in the build document and I just ixnayed switch 2 completely. I did keep the phase switch, obviously. I also didn't bother with any of the LEDs. There's a few other parts that I didn't really need to mess with. Um, the wiper and pin 1 of pot 3 up over here, you can just short together. You don't need a pot. I did make the resistor 5, R5. I made 22K instead of 12K to get a little bit of a volume boost. That was just ridiculous. It didn't need it, but now I've got a volume boost. R8, I hacked another 100K resistor in there in series with the first one just to get a little bit more gain, because I just thought I would like to have just a little bit more on the return if I need it. Because sometimes it's nice to have an echo just a little bit louder than what your guitar is, you know. So, but other than that, I used up a bunch of greenies that I haven't used for anything in years. When I first started, doing this stuff, I bought like bags of these thinking I would use them. And they're just so fucking big on Vero, it was like they were pointless. All my early stuff had stuff like this, but in this case, it gave me a chance to get away with using them. So anyways, that's basically the hacks. I went, instead of 100K depth control for the wet signal, I went with a 10K linear. Real Marshall pot there, which I thought was funny. And what I did for the power supply, now the power supply from Barry's project is designed to be like run on 9 volts. And I was like, well, I want to run this on 15 volts. And I checked in at Barry's forum, and Ray Wilkinson said, yeah, you can run the chip up to 15, no problem. So I'm like, I got a 15 volt, positive, 15 volt negative bipolar power supply. And I'm looking at the Marshall, and if you look down in here, where the hell is it? You've got, for instance, C21 here, and the Zener diode too, okay? Now if you follow that rail, it goes all the way up to pin 4. And it goes on every one of the ICs. So there's a 15 volt positive going to pin 4, which just comes right off of the red thing that comes in. I've got it tacked right to that particular capacitor because it was convenient. So my 9 volt voltage is now 15 volts coming from there on the red wire. The negative voltage is now minus 15 volts on the yellow wire. And what I did was I pulled up pin 11 on the chip, because the chip doesn't care. There's caps all over the place. The chip will run on that kind of power supply, so it's got 15 volts negative there. So now the chip's running on a bipolar power supply like the rest of the amp, with the 28 volt, well, that's actually about 13 volts. 30 volts, just a little above. But anyways, that's hooked up. Now, the rest of the stuff doesn't matter because ground is ground, and the half voltage supply that is on Barry's circuit here is going to stay the same either way. So all I did by lifting pin 11 here and putting the negative voltage to that and not having pin 11 connect to ground anymore, that goes and floats the power supply so it gets the full voltage swing, so it keeps it nice and clean. And I'm like, damn, that was easier than I thought it was going to be. The one mistake I probably made is I got a 47 microfarad cap there. That's a holdover from when it was the 4.7 is actually a monolithic ceramic. But the 47 microfarad cap there is, I have a feeling that I probably don't need it. And I have a feeling that is probably what was causing popping issues when I flicked the polarity switch over here. Because it's only going one way. I think I would either have to add another cap, or I think the easiest way is just get out of there because it's already being filtered over here. Now this board was smoked too. So there was parts where it was like I had to like reconnect traces underneath and stuff like that, and scrape stuff away, and some of the pads were gone. I didn't have radial 2200 microfarad caps, so I used, I didn't have axial ones, I had radial ones, so I used those. I use Duco cement, which is basically just like a celluloid to goop the stuff down to hold it in place so it stays nice and stable. But anyways, so now this freaking thing is working. I'm waiting on the reverb tank coming in from Antique. Took a while to find one for this. Marshall doesn't have any information on these at all anymore. But anyways, it works. Here, check it out and see what it sounds like. Let's start by turning the wet control all the way down. Find some place to perch this thing. Wonder if it'll stay right here. That would be cool if it would. I'm probably flirting with a death wish by doing that, though. All right. I've got it plugged into a real simple delay that Barry also sells. That's his delay version, whatever it is. I don't remember. Got the amp set clean. Gonna bring the echo up. Gonna bring it up all the way. Playing with the echo. I'm going to turn the amp down, crank the gain. The speaker's like fried in that cabinet over there. Dry it up completely. Put the echo up about halfway. Now, I don't know about y'all, but it seems to me like this thing is working. And it's working right the way that I was hoping it would. The circuit board is cheap. I mean, not cheaply made. It's a high quality board. It's well designed. It's well thought out. But I forget what he's charging for them, but I'm pretty sure it's under $10. And if you got one of these old little shit amps here, and you feel like you want to go, I mean, with this, I'm going to end up drilling 4 holes in the back. I mean, I'm going to have to drill it anyway because I decided I'm going to add the reverb back in. It's pretty much impossible to get a proper reverb for this commercially without buying a shitload of them. So the pan's going to be mounted in the cabinet beneath the speaker, which is going to be a real tight fit. So I'm going to put some RCA jacks on the bottom of the chassis and back so that I can connect that. And also I'm going to add a extension speaker jack and a speaker jack in general. And then run it with just like Fender style, where you got like a 1/4-inch plug, like a right angle one that just plugs into it. I got a bunch of pancakes kicking around. And so there'll be the 4 holes, one for the blend, the mix control, the send, the return, and when nothing's plugged in, it still works exactly the same. You can't hear any difference really in tone. If you want to, you can actually boost it and make the whole amp ridiculously louder just by turning that little trimmer there. I've got it off right now. I never should have gone and made the value 22K. I should have left it at 12K because it's already juicing it. That's why I had to go and raise the value of R8 to try and get a little more wet signal. Because, I mean, ideally, I probably should have hacked in a pot. If I do this ever again on like a different amp, I probably will, so that I can adjust the gain of the wet return. But you can crank that thing up to ear bleed. It is ridiculous. It's really, really cool. So if you want to make these things even louder, I mean, this is a loud little amp anyway. I mean, I'm running it at 8 ohms, although the speaker over there is blown. It's in that old, I think it's a crate or a PV or something under that Ibanez piece of crap. And there's like a blown Scorpion in there. I didn't realize it was blown when I stuck it in there. But anyways, that is the hack. So I'm going to draw what I did, you know, Dr. Frankenstein style. I mean, you can already see what I did. The main thing is you just build the thing like Barry suggested in his build document. You can add the serial loop too. I just didn't really want to fucking drill 4 holes in the back of the chassis just for jacks, because that's going to take up, like, the whole back of the amp will have holes in it that way. I mean, I'm not planning on ever selling this anyway because I'm a freaking geezer. And I want something that's going to be real versatile and light and real loud and good for my old guy back and my always empty wallet. So this was a cheap and easy, sleazy way to go. But hey, it's doing the trick. I'm happy with it. It seems to sound really good. So kudos to Barry and to Tone Man and to Bruce and Wilkie and all the other guys, you know, Mark and everybody that's developed on this thing. I think it works great. This is not its intended use. So again, the real main hack is I'm just supplying a positive and negative split rail voltage supply, in this case 15.1 volts. I'm going to take out that 47 microfarad cap because it's not really needed because it's already coming off of filter caps anyway. And that's probably what's messing me up because it's the only polarized cap on that board when I flick the polarity switch. The polarity switch is hip because you can make your echoes like thinner where they like fade out quicker, or you can make them stronger because they're in phase. I haven't even tried this for like a distortion pedal yet. Barry recommends running like a fuzz after an echo, like a really short echo with this in the parallel thing. So it's like you got this like fuzzy echo chasing after your cleanish guitar sounds. Sounds hip. I don't know. For me, I'm mostly going to just use it for my Echoplex, which is somewhere around. Is it down here? Or is it upstairs? Jesus, I don't even remember. Oh, yeah, it's over on one of the other Marshalls. But anyways, that's how I did it. I didn't need the dry level pot, so like I said, I just jumpered that. The blue and black wires there were jumpered. Originally, I tried using a like 100K balance pot, but the problem with it was that there just wasn't, in the middle wasn't anywhere near as impressive as you might think, and it didn't work well with the balance pot, because when you try, I had set it up so that they were oppositional. So like if you turn one up, it turns the other one down. So the outer pins on one of each were grounded. It was like, because I wanted the reverb to turn down when you turned it up, or when you turn the control down. I mean, I grounded pin 1 of one pot, and that was the one that fed the reverb return. And then the dry signal I was feeding the other way, so that as you turned up the reverb, it would turn down the dry signal. Didn't work out as planned, so I just went with the single pot. It's easier, it's cleaner, and once I clean up the wiring and figure out how to stick the whole mess together, which I'm awaiting the reverb pan and a couple of parts, I'll post this thing again once I get it back together. But for all intents and purposes, I mean, this thing was dead as a doornail when it came in, and this thing's screaming now. So I'm quite happy with it so far, and we'll see what happens. Anyways, I'm babbling like an idiot. Gotta go. Got to go. Bye-bye. Peace. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other and all that kind of shit. Photon out.